Hey boys and girls, so this story is starting to get good. We finally are at the zoo. We gotta go see Ivan and Ruby. The tornado's about to hit, or the hurricane, or both. We don't know, so let's see what happens. Change. The park's pretty big. Lots of twisty paths. I forgot to set my timer, and if I don't set it, I'll read forever. Lots of twisty paths and fascinating smells. All the parts have names. There's the African Aviary, the Outback, Penguin Cove, Lemur Land. It's like puzzle pieces of the world. A little Africa here, a little Asia there. Dogs, you can find us pretty much everywhere. Our territory is Earth, as long as we're hooked up with humans, that is. Along the shady paths, volunteer guides will answer your questions. They'll tell you about how animals used to roam one part of the world or another until things changed. Things change. That's one thing I've figured out. Don't ever assume a little patch of the planet belongs to you. Things change. Boxes go flying. We're kind of learning some life lessons from Bob, aren't we? And one life lesson is things change. I kind of agree with him. My inner wolf. On our way, we always stop by the wolf habitat. Julia loves wolves, probably because they reminded her of me. You have to look hard, maybe squint a little, but if you try, you can catch a hint of my inner wolf. It's in the eyes mostly, also in my distinguished profile. I dream I'm a wolf sometimes, and when I wake up, I'm panting and my fur's on alert, and I'm feeling, yeah, the world could hurt me, but I could hurt the world right back even harder. Like there's a dangerous, hard part of me chained inside, struggling to go free and just, I don't know, get even. And then I go see what's for breakfast. Kimu. There's a gray wolf at the park who makes me a little jittery. Jittery as in I sometimes worry he might like to eat me. His name is Kimu, and we struck up a conversation when a mutual acquaintance of ours, a mockingbird called Mitch, introduced us one day. So an acquaintance is someone that you know. So they both know Mitch, and Mitch is a bird, and Kimu is a wolf, and the bird introduced Bob and Kimu. Like Nutwit, Mitch likes to taunt me because I'm domesticated. Gives me a lot of grief about how free he is, soaring stringless over the whole town. I'm not the only one who's pampered, I said one day. I mean, look at Kimu. He's not exactly running wild. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I regretted them. And when I looked at Kimu's, I could kill you with one quick bite expression. I really regretted them. In any case, I said, moving the subject along, I've lived wild. It ain't a picnic for a dog. What was it like? Kimu asked. Now remember, Kimu is a wolf, but he's in the zoo, so he's never been free. He moved closer to the edge of his domain. He had a strange odor, intense and scary, and a little bit intoxicating. Well, I was just a pup, I said, abandoned by the side of the highway. Kimu was listening intently. That means he was very interested. Must have been tough. All I could think of was food, water. I didn't like the catch in my voice. Owl got me. Those guys are fierce, Kimu said. Can't hear them coming. I know, right? I relaxed a little. I hate owls, said Mitch. Hate them with a passion. They eat birds, you know. So do wolves, said Kimu, giving Mitch a meaningful look. So, you were wild ones? I asked Kimu. Never. Born and raised in captivity. Suzu over there? She was. She's told us stories that would curl your fur. That means you kind of get scared of the things that Suzu went through. Honestly, it's nice to have a roof over my head. It's tough out there, man. Really tough. I suppose, said Kimu. I looked at him and for the first time wondered if I really did have any wolf in me. He was a majestic animal with teeth that could shred a tree trunk. I am almost majestic, but more portable, with teeth that could mangle a pencil with enough time and effort. Hey, Bob, Mitch said. Do dogs howl the way wolves do? Oh, of course we do. So let's hear something. A duet, maybe? He fluttered his wings, revealing startling patches of white. Do you know Talk to the Animals? They play that on the carousel. Go away, Mitch, said Kimu with just the right amount of menace in his voice. Come on, just a little howling. Pretend there's a moon. Pretend you're free. Pretend. Kimu growled, and so did I. His was pretty impressive. It spoke of death and dismemberment and all kinds of unpleasant bird nightmares. I growled too. It spoke of me being mildly peeved. Still, Mitch got the message. He disappeared a blur of wings. Actually, I've never howled at the moon, I admitted. Me neither, said Kimu. I feel kind of silly doing it here. Enrichment. We're almost to my favorite spot in the park. The great thing for me is that one corner of Gorilla World juts up against Elephant Odyssey, the area where Ruby lives. A low stone wall separates the two spaces, and there's a moat on the elephant side. The sections connect like two slices of pie, and my secret spot is right at the center, where I can hang out with my crew. Ivan and Ruby both have access to indoor habitats, which is greater when the weather isn't cooperating. The indoor space for gorillas, it ain't bad. I call it the Gorilla Villa. It has tons of ropes and hammocks and branches to climb. Humans watch through a thick wall of glass while the young gorillas run around like kids at recess. But whenever Julia and I visit, we can almost always find Ivan and Ruby outside. We trudge up a little rise, though it isn't much of a hill. We live in a pretty flat part of the world. From there, I can see just about everything. The park, the parking lot, the creek. Far beyond that, every now and then, I can even catch a glimpse of the ocean. My secret place is a little hard to get to, right near the keeper's shed, nicely hidden by trees and bushes. Under a big magnolia tree, there's a bench, shaped like a gorilla holding out his arms. Julia likes to sit there and draw. Sometimes she does her homework, which smells like frustration with a hint of eraser. Whenever I visit Julia props me up on the stone wall that separates Ruby's world from Ivan's. Visitors can't see me, and the keepers pretend not to see me. So he's got a spot that he sneaks into where he visits Ruby and Ivan. If they caught any other dog there, he'd be out in a heartbeat. But Ivan and Ruby and I have a history. I make them happy. I'm what you might call enrichment. At the park, they try to keep the animals engaged with surprises and challenges and changes to their environment. That's what enrichment is all about. The gorillas get watermelons to demolish and boxes to hide in and markers for drawing. The elephants get sprinklers and flavored water and elephant-sized rubber balls. Not exactly like a day in the real jungle, of course, but the keepers try as hard as they can to make life interesting. For Ivan and Ruby, I'm the ultimate enrichment. I'm their best pal. So, what kind of enrichment do you think other animals would get? He named some that Ivan and Ruby would get, but I wonder what kind of enrichment they do for giraffes or maybe the sills. What would they do? Walls and bad guys. Julia takes me out of her backpack and I settle onto the wide stone wall. It's my favorite place on the planet because it means I can see Ivan and Ruby, but I also kind of hate it. Walls will do that to you. Ivan, being Ivan, is a mellow kind of guy. Takes the good with the bad, only gets angry when he really needs to. When I complain about the walls at the park, he says, "Walls keep the animals in, but they also keep the bad guys out." Of course, gorillas don't have a whole lot of bad guys to deal with. Elephants either. So humans step in to fill the void. Dogs? Sometimes it feels like we have enemies galore. Everyone wants a piece of us. Humans treat us badly. Cars really have it in for us. We even get eaten by coyotes, which is kind of like having your cousin invite you over for dinner and then inform you you're the main course. Although I'd probably just be the appetizer. Anyways, after those 27 years stuck in a mall, Ivan is one of those glass half full kind of guys when it comes to the walls surrounding him. Glad to be with others of his own kind, cared for by smart and loving humans. I'm more of a water bowl of power half empty kind of guy. Every time I leave Ivan and Ruby, I am painfully aware that I can leave. Ivan's address is Gorilla World. Ruby's is Elephant Odyssey. And me? I guess my address is the same as Julie and George and Sarah's, 1249 Hinman Avenue. I mean, of course it is. I've been living there a whole year now. It is. And yet, sometimes I still wake up at night and think, gotta find shelter, gotta find safety, gotta find somewhere to belong. Guess I don't want to get too comfortable. So that's kind of another life lesson that Bob is teaching us, that when he was a baby, he was literally on his own. Remember, he fell out of the car and had to take care of himself, and the world wasn't very nice to him. So now he's still worried about getting comfortable at Julia's house, and we don't blame him, right? Gift. Once I'm in my spot, I don't have to do a thing, because Ivan and Ruby always know I'm there. Gorillas and elephants have great schnozzes too. Also, I pride myself on staying extra fragrant. It's a gift. So the next time we read, the chapter is called Ivan. So for those of you who didn't read the first book with us, you'll get to meet Ivan. And I'm so excited because he's such an amazing gorilla. One thing we already know about him is he's calm and he looks at the glass half full. So he doesn't mind the walls. He's just happy that he's with other elephants now. We'll see how else Ivan looks at the glass half full. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening.